is whack-a-mole season. It's tax return time. We're trying to collect all the data and make it all happen, make it as easy and quick as possible for everyone. Messed up my little poll here a bit, but anyway, who am I? Clayton Wood, co-founder of Seamlss. Also have the Business Edge Advisors, my accounting firm, and I also am Zapier in business, award-winning, and yeah, love what we do. But we also obviously had that problem with onboarding clients, collecting tax return information, re-engaging clients, and that's why we built Seamlss. Daniel's in the chat. I'm putting a few items in the chat to help everyone out. By all means, ask some questions along the way. I will endeavour to get to all of them at the end of the session. Obviously, July 1, TASA new regulation started for everyone. Bigger firms already had this problem, but that obligations went live. Plenty of discussion in the groups everywhere. I think the key with that around is most people are already doing the right things. So if you already had the right structures and processes, you'll probably write anyway. Obviously, the engagement letter is a new aspect of everything, putting that engagement letter together. The beauty of Seamlss is that we have engagement letters built into the whole process. So you can, where some firms were not getting an engagement letter signed every year, or maybe it was a 10-year-old engagement letter, the process around Seamlss allows you to get a new engagement letter signed every year. Even if you're using a different app, like we use a different proposal app in Seamlss with Business Edge, but clients still sign the Seamlss engagement letter because all of the entities are going to be listed on that. So every year I know that I've got signed terms and conditions from clients. It is the same old problems, but now it's more of a compliance risk. So with that, I'm talking about the new TASA changes. So where you might have sent something over email, I got some questions, did some questions in person. The benefit of utilizing Seamlss is we've got forms and we've got a bit of a work paper process of asking the client, did they get their crypto? And then they turn around and go, no, I didn't sell crypto. Well, at least you've got that quality management system in place using Seamlss to ask those questions up front to make the process a lot easier. So there's obviously new enhancements with doing the verifications and things like that. We've got lots of firms on with today. Obviously, it's that time of year, though. I'm sure everyone's already had those phone calls. Oh, I need my tax done. Can you help me? Book it in. The prefill's ready. Half ready, not ready. Probably not. They're probably going to manage funds. More importantly, it's, there's an email and it's mental. I've got some crypto. The prefill said you got crypto. Where's that? Did I work from home? How does that look? Where's your documents? Where's your information? Show me your logbooks. All those little questions around that. And then also the security and compliance and the stress and all those added things that a poor process will just combine. This is the beauty of Seamlss, is it's going to eliminate a lot of this and reduce the stress, not just from the partners, but for the admin team. Less chasing and back and forth and more processing. So the main thing that will kick off today, I don't like to rattle on too much, but the first one will be, we'll automate the onboarding with the online tax return tool. So utilizing Seamlss's Smart Tax ITR form to pre-fill and do the conditional logic and do all that in one go. So I'll kick that off today and show you how that's going to work. So in today's session, I have a pre-built form over here. So I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully everyone can see that. Probably should check that earlier. But anyway, I've got my pre-built form here on the Seamlss website. So in this instance, we're utilizing a client smart link on the Seamlss website. So this is an example of a smart link in action. You could have a smart link on your website, on your window at work, on your front desk, on your email. It's a link. You can put it anywhere. Now, I'll go through that in a bit more detail in a minute, but I just wanted to show you that it works in action just like this. So this is how it's could work for you and your clients when they're booking in. Oh, that worked well because the link didn't work. It worked 5 minutes ago. Anyway, let's go into client smart links. Here is my link. Client links. Here is the link I just copied earlier. Copy that. And then obviously I didn't update it, so that's a win. What's happened? Thank you, technology. ITR. edit, copy the link. Maybe my Firefox is broken. Come on here. Come on, technology. What's wrong with Firefox? It's working now. I don't know what happened there. Must have been the cache. So we'll put in my email address. Today it is my Gmail test account user. And we're going to use an alias. So in today's session, so if I was a client and I've gone to the link and I've clicked on a link and I'm going to get started, they're just going to put in their details. So in this case, they're not even a client. They're a potential client. They're a new client. So I'm going to see my information. They're going to put in their basic details, and then they're going to continue on. So in this case, it's sent off the request. I've now got the link, and then here is the link in my email. You can see that I've got the email, and then I'm going to start the process. So I've logged in. I'm going to get the code to log in securely as a new client. And we're going to enter and then start the process. So this is a new client onboarding with me for the first time ever, and we're going to prepare their tax return using the client Smart Link system. Put in my address. So if you're already using Seamlss or you've seen me do a few demos, you've probably seen me do some of this already. I'm going to just skim through the request part here, but basically these are all the front cover details you would get from the client that would go on the front cover of the tax return. You need it. You need a tax file number. Now, it does validate a tax file number. If I put in a wrong tax file number there, it won't actually work. It will validate BSBs, even random human bank ones. It won't validate the account number, but it will validate the BSB. Now, you can see the tax file number is invalid. So we are checking if they're valid tax file numbers. And worse, doing an ID check, adding them to the portal with the wrong information. I recommend that you use Stripe DBS to do a biometric check, but in this case, because we're doing a live demo, I've opted with the option to just do the basic version here. So I'm just going to add some documents for a verification. We'll add some note of assessment, things like that, continue on. It does guide the client through with some help guides here, a bit of explanatory work. Here is the ITR tool in action. So if you can imagine the clients clicked on the link and gotten started, the idea with the ITR tool is that they're going to go through the process. It's a dynamic tool created just for tax returns. So they enter in their details, could look up the ANSI code. So it doesn't matter what job they are. We've got all the ANSI codes in here. I think they're changing soon, so they're going to get updated as well. The questions will change dynamically. So if they aren't a citizen, it'll ask them what questions that they need to answer. If they have a HEX debt, they can put those details in there for you. If you send this out to a current client, you can actually view the pre-fill here, and I'll show you that in action in a minute as well. But in this case, because it's a new client, I can't upload the pre-fill, but they can agree to it. Generally, people know that the pre-fill is, and we can put that in there and say, no, the input is wrong. If the pre-fill is there, obviously, and I can spell. And with the income, again, I wanted this to be like a work paper style process. So if they have additional interest income, they can add it in there. They might say what they've got, might be $1,000. They can upload and attach the interest documents. So if they've got some of that information, they might want to attach that for you and save that. And if they've got multiple, they can add multiple. That's the beauty of it. It could be dividends. So we know a lot of clients have got dividends. So maybe they've got them CVA dividends. This is just an example. It's not an exact science, but you get the idea. Again, they could upload and attach their dividend statements. They could do one, they could do many. Crypto, we've all got crypto friends that love the crypto, so they can obviously put their information in there and complete that. Rental properties is another good example where they can put their rental property data in. Just key in some data here just quickly. Clearly I spell well. Cool. And then obviously they're going to put the information in for you as well as they go. And again, creating that quality system, asking the questions, getting them to answer them, and then you can obviously upload some documents, e.g. they might upload their property manager's statement. Maybe they've got multiple rental properties, so they'll add more. That's the beauty of Seamlss, is that you can have one or many. We'll continue on. So with the ITR tool, the other thing is that we want to ask the deduction questions. So if they've got a motor vehicle, it'll go through and say to and from work. We know we all get that one. What was the rego? We know we get them all the time. Maybe they'll put in 5,000 Ks and this will calculate it for you. So it's also assisting to do some of the work for the team. Now, on the flip side, if they had 2 cars or not, they could also do the logbook. So this is what I'm talking about, that dynamically creating the online tax return process. And it's going to go through that and they can answer it as they do. We've also included work from home this year. So there's obviously a uniform. You can go through all of these yourself, but we did add work from home this year. It's a very big topic. So you've got the fixed rate method, what evidence do they provide, and can they upload it, how many hours, all those sorts of things are going to assist you to get the right answers and have that quality system to do the tax return for the client. With the family and health, so number of dependents, spouse, all those sorts of details, continue on. And then this year we've also included the substantiation declaration. So we're getting them to confirm that they've got all this stuff right off the bat. You can actually edit this, and I'll show you that in a minute. You can edit this to be whatever you want. I'll save that and continue on. So now I've completed that as the client. I've got the front cover of the details for the tax return. I've got all of the tax return information. And now I'm going to sign and complete the return. So here is my engagement letter. Here's my price list. The client can see the price list. And I'm going to confirm the signature. There's me agreeing, signing, acknowledging, done. So I've now onboarded, ID checked, collected the ITR data, and engaged the client all within the one simple, seamless process. I'm going to close that screen now, and I'm going to move that out of the way because that was broken. Stupid Firefox. Cool. So that client has now been onboarded. You can see, let's go to the dashboard. Here is Clayton Wood. He's completed his return. The admin team's got a notification to say that Clayton's filled in the smart link and onboarded himself. Now we need to go in and see whether this is the kind of guy we want to work with. So let's go in. As the admin team member, they're going to go in and perform these checks. So they're going to do an ID verification. They'll review the documents that the client sent. Does it match, and do we delete it? How did they send it? What documents? You can go through the verification webinar that I've done before, and then you've got the verification done. Now we've got the form here. So here's all the information that client filled out. So chartered accountant, the information he's filled out to do the job, the files. Now if you're using a document management system, these files will flow through into your system. We're going to generate these forms. This will allow us to create the tax return. So this is the work paper style aspect that I was talking about. So we've got Clayton's information to fill out his tax return. So the accountant can go through and process the tax return with a lot of this information without having to go back and forth to confirm it. If you did need to confirm something, we'll touch on that with InstaFetch in a minute. So from here, if this client had booked in for a meeting or anything like that, we would obviously push, the admin team member would push this data and add them to XPM. So with Seamlss, we do try and match on names and things like that. And you can see that Clayton's obviously done this before. So, but in this case, it's a new client, so we'll sync and add them to XPM. And then once they're synced, you can view them in XPM. And from that point, you can start doing their tax return. So you can, if they're on the portal, you're going to have their pre-fill and everything ready to go, have a lot of the data ready to go before you even meet with the client, if you need to meet with them at all, because they've just done everything for you online. So that is the ITR tool. And the only thing I didn't show you was when you do it via what I did with the Smart Link, you got a new client, you can't do a pre-fill. But if you were re-engaging a current client and you clicked on the ITR tool, you could choose and upload the prefill, and that would send it to them. So I can choose the prefill, send it off here, and go. For example, I would say, here's my prefill, and the client would check and confirm that. So if it's a current client, we could download it from ITR, send it to the client as a re-engagement. Obviously, if it's a smart link, you can't have 1 million prefills there for the client, but yes, that is how that works. So that's the ITR tool in action. Now, I just wanted to see and show how that worked, because it has a lot of conditional logic. It asks all the questions of the tax return for you. The main thing is that I get a lot of pushback from firms is that our clients don't want to fill all that out. And I'll go through the settings on where you can turn a lot of that off in Seamlss beforehand if you want to, so you can customize it for your firm in a little bit more detail. And the thing is not everybody will have that pushback. You do you. At the end of the day, how you process your tax returns in your firm is your job and how you implement it. So I know there's a massive market for online tax returns out there, and it's a very competitive market, but having Seamlss allows you to have the ability to collect that data online in a simple, easy to use format that works on their mobile phone. Now, to flip that a little bit, you can customize it yourself. So if you don't want to send out the ITR tool, you don't have to. You can use fetch forms with conditional logic. So what does that look like? Let's send a request to Clayton Wood. So Clayton Wood is booked in. So let's just go through that process for a second. So he's gone onto my website, he's booked his meeting. The admin team member says, oh, Clayton's booked in, got a notification, cool. Let's send him the tax collection information. So we've got his information confirmed before he arrives at his meeting. So before the meeting, the admin team will send this off for re-engagement. Now, if it was just the individual, we're just going to engage the individual in this case. So, and we're also going to add an ITR form. So in this case, I'm going to add the income and deduction information. I'm going to give it a name here, information, and add that. It's not very difficult. And then I'm also going to add the family and health, because we don't have all of that up to date. You can obviously customize it to your firm, whatever you want. This is also where you can add that ITR tool, but in this case, my firm says we're not using the ITR tool, we're just going to custom form for each client, and that could be tax return information. Maybe the client also has a rental property, so we're going to add in the rental property for current client, and it's Clayton's beach house, because we all know he goes to the beach house all the time. So we'll add that in, and then we've also got the engagement letter template here. So in my firm, maybe we've got multiple different templates. You can have the current default, or maybe you've got a specific one just for tax returns because they're individual clients and they're special. So customize that template. So we might just say, well, I don't like Clayton, his price just went up. You can obviously customize this on the way out. You should have all those fun aspects around the TPV things, how they want the links and whatnot. Make sure all that's in there, save and send. So that's going to send off the form for re-engagement. Clayton will click on the link, log in, and start the process. Now, in this case, I'm a firm user, so I'm just going to switch the view so I can view it like a client. And then you'll be able to see what that looks like for Clayton to process this. Come on, computer. Switch the view. This is working well. So everyone's ITR process is a little bit different. And I think that's the key that I wanted to get across here, is that how you do your tax return processing makes sense for you. So now I'm in the client portal. Here are Clayton's booked in, and now I've sent him his request. He's going to confirm his details. So again, the front cover of the details on the tax return confirm his address hasn't changed, because nobody wants to send out a tax return with the wrong address. His bank details, we also want to confirm they haven't changed. And this is where the custom ITR tools for the fetch form come in. You can customize the fetch forms and ask conditional questions. So in this case, it's, do you have any bank interest? Yes. And then they can put in the information of how much. Maybe they've got dividends. So we want to say, well, upload your bank dividend statements here. Maybe it's crypto, because they're crypto kings, so we'll ask for all the cryptocurrency information. Depending on how you ask it, you can ask for more answers or more information. So in this case, I'm just going to say no. Maybe it's a motor vehicle, and we're going to say, give me some details and upload. Again, you can customize these questions to suit your current processes in your firm. But obviously, if they've got work-related clothing, maybe they want to put in some details and upload some documents for you. I can just drop some stuff in there just for a bit of fun. It is drag and drop, so it's not very difficult. If they're on their phone, they can just take photos. And that is the idea, is to make it as easy as possible that we can, so that everyone can get that done. Maybe add a tax return, so it's, no more. Continue on, is there anything else? We're not going to do any more. Save and continue, so family update, does he have any dependents? Let's just say yes, you have 5, oh, not 56. Do you have a spouse? Yes. So I've ticked yes, and now I can put in my spouse's name and go through that process. Health, so with the health, I've done it there. The Medicare levy exemption is one where it always frustrates me, because a lot of people don't realize they have to pay Medicare levy, but everybody pays Medicare levy unless you're a Defence Force member or you've got an exemption certificate. So if they're in the ADF, then that's an easy one. They've got a certificate. I've made it so that they have to request an additional document. With the beach house, so they might put some information in here. Again, maybe they're just going to drag and drop the information from the property agent, and we'll key in some information and some rates. Again, the idea with this is to get that information from the client to create the tax return and reduce that back and forth, but also having a quality system in place to make it so that it's easy, rinse and repeatable for you and the team. So now we've sent that request off to Clayton. He's going to complete. Again, he's going to agree to our prices before we start the job, confirm that signature. There's the information, signed, done. Thanks for coming. So now, from a processing point of view, Clayton's completed. The job is done. So I'm just going to mark these off as done as the admin team member. Go in and view Clayton. So now think about this from an admin processing point of view. Clayton has booked in, whether it's a phone call or whether it's Calendly or whatever, the admin team's booked him in, added him for re-engagement, confirmed his details. We can go in and get the information. Here's the form I just filled out just here. Apologies, there's a lot there. But you can see that all the answers and things that I've answered are in there. But what the key is, that what the admin team member will hand over is the files for processing the tax return. So again, when you go to start doing the tax return, you've got the information and the files that they're going to upload and documents. Again, that'll flow into your DMS so the accountant can start doing the jobs for you. Back up here. And then finally, the admin team member would push and sync it to XPM. So they're going to make sure it matchy, sync and merge, update the details, make sure it all matches. So before the client has met with the accountant in the office to do the tax return, you've got the front cover information on the tax return, right? You've got a pre-fill from the ATO. You've got the documents to start doing the tax return. So that if it is an in-person one, you can ask those quick questions to finalize, or at least someone can pre-prepare the return before you meet with them to ask further questions before they meet. So if they've turned around and said, oh, I bought a new rental property, at least it gives you the opportunity to, one, either send off the rental property information, or maybe they sold it, so you send off the CGT rental property sold fetch form, and then you can have a better meeting. If they're not booked in at all and they just want their tax done, you can still just send off a re-engagement to collect that ITR data so that you can do it by correspondence if they're not booking in. Because sometimes some people just say, I'm busy, I don't have time to come in. They just want to send the stuff in. And that's where the fetch form option or the ITR tool option allows you to do that, interacting fully online and processing it. So I'm just going to remove that bit there. So that's that way of doing it. Now, how do you automate all this? That's where the smart links come in. So as you've seen before, when it broke, if you go onto the Seamlss website and go to the demo, interactive live demo, you can actually see how these smart links work and do some testing yourself on the forms to see how it looks. But in the case of this, you just click on the form and then it'll just start loading up and get working. This time it works. Thanks for coming. So that's how smart links work. You can put them anywhere. The key is what and where and why. So this comes back to that planning situation of the admin team and the firm, is to say, what is our process? So if an ITR person books in, do we want them? No, go away. If it's a yes, then what are we sending them? What is our process? Is it an ITR tool or is it a fetch form? What is it that suits our firm and what's best? It's a link. You can put it anywhere. So you can put it on your website as a start now button. So if they can either book in on your website or they can start sending you the tax return information. You can put it as a QR code. You can put it as a link on your email or social media. If you're using Stripe, you can actually have a smart link redirected from Stripe. So they pay for the deposit of the return, and then the smart link will send them the Stripe will send them a link. So it goes from Stripe payment to the link, and then they can just start processing that. Obviously, you could also utilize it in marketing if you're using Google Ads and Facebook campaigns. Here's a link, and it can just get started in that process. So coming back to the client smart links, if I go into client links here in the middle, there is a little help guide here. It goes through the process. There's a video there, shows you how to set it up and process them. I'll see if Daniel can also put the link to the Zapier processing video from the other week in this webinar. But basically, you want to, if you were starting fresh, you could just add a link. So in this case, we're going to go basic ITR, and you can have many links. So therefore, you could direct the clients through different buttons by saying, is it a basic ITR? Is it a basic ITR with rental property? So I'm going to put that in there. Please send in your info. Hopefully, you can have better blurbs than me. So in this case, with the request, the client will need to put in their information, whether this is for new clients or current clients. If it's for current clients, you're not going to do a ID check. But if it's for new clients, then you do want an ID check. The other option is you can do no ID checks. And when they come through, and if it's a new client, the admin team can then send off the ID check once they've got the new client in. So you're reducing that barrier to entry. So basically the idea behind that is that anyone can connect with you, but then once, if they're a new client, to fulfill your obligations, you send off the request, get the ID check done, add them to the portal, and then you start doing your tax return. So in this case, we're doing an ITR with the tax return. So I might just send in the conditional logic for income and deductions. Income and deductions. I'll add that. Again, good spelling. And we also talked about that they had a rental property. So I'm going to send the rental property for current clients and add that in. Now, you might also send the non-current client one, which asks for address and start date of when the property was rented. We want them to sign an engagement letter, and then I've added that link. So I now have a new client smart link that I can put anywhere. Here is the one we just made just now. Now, the one that I was using before is this one just here. Again, you can just open them up, put them anywhere, and people can get started. So that is the power of a smart link. Now, basically with Zapier, you take this smart link code here and you put that in Zapier. And from Zapier, you can obviously leverage it to send these links to a client and activate it and start the process after any other interaction through your business. So what does that look like? It could be an FYI automation via emails or Zapier. It could be from Calendly to Zapier to send off your client link for onboarding. The possibilities are endless. It's Zapier. You can do it in bulk. I show that in the Zapier webinar around utilizing a Google Sheet to automate that process. Again, with any of this stuff, it comes back to the firm and how you want those forms processed by your admin team. Now, yes, the accountants could send this off, but I really recommend if you've got an admin team member, leverage these tools. If you're a sole practitioner, this is a game changer because it's doing all of that admin for you. So you're not the one collecting all the information in the meeting, which we talked about last week. It's nothing worse than sitting down for a tax return and you're asking, what's your email, what's your TFN, what's your bank details, or they're in the reception area filling out a form and they've turned up at 10 o'clock for a 10 o'clock appointment and they've still got to fill in the form. The beauty of Seamlss is that you can have that data in there before the meeting even starts. So you can have shorter meetings and just focus on what you need to focus on in that meeting. Now you might be thinking, oh, what does this all look like, Clayton? How do I get through this process? So we have forms and we have a bunch of different templates. So the templates that I'm using today, Daniel's going to upload and put them in there for all the firms. These will be ITR 010, 11, 12, 13, 14 down the bottom here that I've utilized. So some conditional formats and income and things like that. So I've conditionally formatted it so that if they say that they've got interest, how much interest have they got, dividends, you can have upload documents. Again, you'll be able to edit these forms yourself. You can duplicate them, rename them, customize them. If you don't like them, you can build your own. The other key thing with the ITR tool this year, if you have used it in the past, there's some massive updates. So all firms are a little bit different, and we all know that. What is your nuance that's a little bit different for your firm to someone else's? So if you're bookkeeping, you might turn off tax returns. Obviously, TFNs and you're a bookkeeper, I'm not sure what you're doing here, but we will talk about smart links in a minute, and that is super keen for bookkeepers. InstaSend. But you can obviously customize the front cover of the tax return. So if you are an ITR heavy person or business, you might do that, turn off place of birth. You might even just turn it off or disable it for July just to make the process easier for clients so they don't worry about it. The reason I love place of birth is that if I'm doing a company creation, you've already got that. Forcing bank details for other entities, that allows you to get the refunds processed for companies and things like that. But obviously bank details is one of those items you can utilize to identify a client for verifications. So that's why I have it turned on. You do you. Now, in turn with that, we've got the new ITR options. So this is the settings for the ITR tool. Now, you can change it to whatever you want, but you can obviously turn them on and off, and that's on and off for all of them for all clients. You can't customize it for every client, but if you have a set process and you're like, I don't want the vehicle question asked, you can turn it off. More importantly, if you're doing fee from refunds, you can turn that on and off as well. So if you have it off, you can request the information to do the fee from refunds and terms and conditions as well. So you can turn that off or you can turn it on. Maybe you want to change it to some other wording. You do you. Again, the idea is that you'll be able to customize that label or remove the label altogether. But my thoughts were to have a confirmation declaration as a part of that process. So this is where you can edit those ITR tool processing options to make that easier for you to customize it for your firm for those outcomes. I've gone through a lot and I'm still probably talking too fast. Questions, Daniel? Is there a million questions? Oh God, there's heaps.
We've answered most of them, I think. Might be a couple left over. Just 1 second. One from Marcel Phillip. For rental property, most clients have a rental statement and some directly paid expenses. How is the way to deal with that so they don't need to do bookkeeping as they won't like?
So I think if they're a current client or a new client and they're doing a rental property, they're going to fill out a rental form. So whether it's a rental form for a fetch form, they can upload those documents and attachments and make that easy for you to process that. At the end of the day, if they don't fill it out, they don't fill it out. You can't do much about that. But we do have the ability to use Insta request to request those missing data points if they haven't filled it out. But as you've seen in the ITR tool, they can do rental properties, or you can send a rental property fetch form. again, you customize those forms to suit your firm. And the idea is that when you're doing a re-engagement, have the admin team member empowered to say, I'm going to onboard Daniel. Daniel has 15 rental properties. I need to key in each rental property to make sure I'm getting all of those rental property information so that we can confirm it. There will be a recording. I will do, if it records this time, I will send it out. I apologize for last week. Next update, should get low. Daniel will have to have a look at the 5 megabyte thing.
Yeah, I've answered most of those. The last couple, BD asked, is the online links already in there as a template, or do we need to create them? So
you have to create them. Because they are all custom links for each firm. I'll see Daniel after this. Maybe we can have some outlines or something, but as you're just saying, it's not a whole lot. But the thing is that every firm's a little bit different. So you might have a little bit different text. You will ask the questions a little bit different. What forms are you going to insert? I guess we could just have a basic imprint of something, but at the end of the day, you should be customizing it for your firm and for your client and your branding of your firm to make sure that you're welcoming those customers in the way that you want.
Couple of new questions down the bottom.
SmartLink remove the ability to customize and include templates in something. Is this correct? SmartLink would remove the ability to customize and include templates. I'm not sure. You customize the SmartLink beforehand, so you can't keep. If I sent the SmartLink out and then edited it, the client would get, I think, the new SmartLink, depending on when they click the button to start that process. That's what I'm sort of saying. Like, have a basic SmartLink and have a rental SmartLink, have a sole trader SmartLink, have a SmartLink set up for each client. It's a little bit different. Other engagement letters, we only have the sort of standard one, but at the end of the day, I see this question asked all the time. Seriously, your engagement letter is for your firm. If you are holding off that the tool is giving you the engagement letter, you still want to go in and edit it. It still needs to talk about what tools you're using, what software it is, where it's located, where your team's located. All of those things are specific to your firm. Go to your agency, IPA, CA, CPA, NTAA, whatever it is, and download that template, upload it to Seamlss. You still need to customize it for your firm. Yes, we'll continue to look to see if we make this available and work with the people to have more, but at the end of the day, my thoughts are still, you need to download it, customize it, edit it. It's not that much difference whether it's in there or not. Now, the next thing I wanted to touch on was what's new. So I talked about it in one of the groups, InstaSend. So we have InstaFetch. We've talked about that in a different session. Now, in InstaFetch is obviously going to be utilized if you sent off the tax return and you needed a quick question, e.g., maybe they forgot their rental schedule. So it's just a matter of putting in the client name and saying, please send BMT schedule. And then obviously we want to get an upload, and then you just send it off. Now Clayton's got a request to send and upload the BMT schedule. The idea is you can just copy and paste those questions in there, and then the client can answer them. Now, the latest update is InstaSend. This is huge, and I love it because there's nothing else quite like it, I feel. So it's much the same process. You can edit the title and the description if you want to have a different title and description, put in their name, and then it might be just say, here is your payment slip. So if you're sending payment slips and things like that to clients through the email, it's got their tax file number all over it. We all know that. It's in the BPay. The ATO hasn't changed it in 20 years. It's still there. So ATO payment slips, notice assessments, ABA files is another one. ABA files, if you're sending that over email, it's got everyone's bank details in it. So InstaSend allows you to quickly type in the client's name, attach a document, and send it. It takes all of 2 seconds. You can obviously edit it and customize it a little bit and have more details. So that might be that you add in a description, which is the button's not working for me, Daniel. But you can also add different details. So it might be use the B page, adding different details, and then the client will get that and done. Drag and drop the file, send it. And if you're an admin team member, you know, I need to put in a client name. You know that sending an email is that hard. Oh, the other thing I didn't mention just then, sorry, is you can put in custom messages in the email. So if the client's a bit like, oh, I'm not sure what this is, in the email, you could put in a note, here's the NOA you requested, here is this document, here is that document. So what does it look like on the client side? So usually they're on their mobile phone, so they're probably just going to download it on their phone. But in this case, if I just click in here, I can view the file and download the file as the client and do whatever I need to. This is just an example, obviously, but that could be a note of assessment. It could be anything. It could be an ABA file. It could be a form. Could be anything, but you get the idea. That was InstaSend. So the idea that I want to show you that is because I think that I'd love to have some comments to see if anyone is sharing that at the moment. But that is how you can securely send documents using Seamlss. So game changing. If you're not using something like Seamlss, you're probably doing it a very manual way. So obviously Seamlss will do the client onboarding, the ID check, collect the documents, and then engage the client all in the one process. This isn't multiple back and forths. It's not jumping from one app to another app. It's one process. So whether it's triggered automatically via a smart link or whether it's just the admin team member doing it custom for each client, that is up to you and your process. But the idea is it's one process and one task for the client. Now, yes, it works for ITRs, but it also works for clients and groups. So you can send it off for clients with their entities. You can send it off and say, give me your bank statements, your loan documents, your new asset purchases, whatever those questionnaires that you have, you can do that with Seamlss. So there is measurable outcomes because right now, most of the time the clients are either turning up at your doorstep with nothing or a bunch of receipts and a bunch of information. The other part is clearly around quality. So you're getting questions and answers before you start the tax return, and obviously allows you to grow more because the admin team can do more and the client can do more for you. Now, we can help you implement, scan the QR code. We'll send some links out at the end. Now, question time. We've got some more questions. So a few people have asked about email addresses. Now, my thoughts on this are quite harsh. All clients generally have their own email address. There's two things that have to happen for that. Is if they're using Centrelink or MyGov, they have to have a unique email and phone number to access it. If they're using their MyGov ID, they have to have a unique email and phone number to access it. Shared email addresses. Yes, you can use an alias. There is a blog post, you can use aliases just like I did before to use a shared email address. Do I recommend it? No. What are you doing to fulfill your obligations for TASA and ethically around financial partner spousal abuse? So what are you doing to risk and mitigate that application around sharing emails and phone numbers? So if I'm sending it to someone and they're the one that does all the financial work and they're doing it for their spouse or partner, did you really engage the spouse or partner if you use the same email or the same phone number? Did you really do it securely? Did you actually fulfill your obligations to tick those boxes? I don't know. Maybe you did. Maybe you don't need to. That's your call to do. My personal opinion into stopping a lot of that is that you need to ensure that you've got a unique phone number and a unique email for each and every client, and that they're the people that are doing the work, especially if you're doing a verification on them. I would highly recommend that you have a unique email and phone number. That is hopefully the answer to that. But yes, there is a blog on Seamlss. If you Google Seamlss alias email, it will come up. With the logic integration, it doesn't automatically link. No, you can go into settings in here if you have it enabled as an integration. In here, logic, I've got it turned on. So I can go into the data center and I can export my information for logic. So I can export the clients, I can export a single client, I can type in their name, and export that, and then import it into Logic via CSV. Obviously, it's CSV. You can import that into other apps and tools as well. But we do have Zapier, so you could use Zapier to send email addresses and things to MailChimp and things like that as well. FYI, to download the docs from Seamlss. Yes, you can connect up FYI. There is an FYI integration in place. There is, so Zapier, FYI, Ignition, you use the smart links inside Ignition, Logic, Dropbox, Google Drive, and SharePoint. There is obviously detailed help guides on how to do all of this. We step-by-step process. The hardest one is SharePoint. A lot of firms use sweep files with SharePoint as well. The hardest one with that is usually you need this Entra IP thing, which is a bit more convoluted. Talk to your IT team for that. Can you send them something that needs them to sign, e.g. a PDF? No, we're not a Fuse sign or an Annex to sign documents. Utilize your document signing tool for signing different various documents. Can you put your Calendly link into an InstaSend for an appointment? No, I don't know that that's how I would do a Calendly link. Again, this comes back to your process around how am I getting the client to onboard. So I feel like do the Calendly link from your website, from an email, and then from there in Calendly, in your email reminder, you can insert the smart link. Someone had their hand up. You can unmute yourself if you like. You're obviously on the recording, but you can also put it in the chat. I'm more than happy for people to unmute and say hello. Yeah. The ID, proof of identity. So proof of identity, there is no API yet for XPM proof of identity. Now, the key thing with Seamlss is we track and keep a log of all the ID as your requirement for the ATO and TPB. The difference with Seamlss is that you can export all of your client verifications. So yes, you can put them in other apps. If you can import it into Carbon and PM tools like that, you can probably import the CSV from Seamlss into Carbon. Do you need to? That is my number one question, is the admin team, if they're utilizing something like Seamlss, they're going to be able to check and see if they're verified in Seamlss. I'm not too sure how many people are going through their XPM to see if everyone's verified. Obviously, if there is an API one day, we will integrate and link it up. We do have some plans for that in the future, but there's a whole lot of other exciting things that we're working on at the moment that are a lot higher than worrying about your verifications, because it's kind of like the thing that you do once when you onboard someone, and then that's it. Obviously, coming into AML next year, we have bigger plans to have AML available for all the clients and all the needs next year by July 1, 2026. But that's a whole year away. So there will be more changes in the future around that. But right now, you do your verification, it's done. Does it need to go anywhere else? I don't think it does. I get it though. Some people want it everywhere. That is fine. Copy and paste it. FYI integration, does the document sync directly to the client folder? So you select the client folder and then the year. So go in there now and change it to client 2025 folder in FYI. I apologize, I'm not sure what that looks like in FYI. I'm not an FYI expert, but other firms have got it connected up. And I think Daniel and the team might be working on some further integrations with FYI in the future. Any further questions? Don't be shy. We do have a
one from Angela, Clayton. There's just one from Angela above the other one that I think. Are you able to speak to ways to integrate payment collection?
Payment collection. So yeah, like I said, Stripe. So if you've used Stripe, Stripe's pretty easy to use when you log in there. You can actually log in, create products, create links. So each product can have its own special link. And from that link, you can also have the redirect link. So if they pay on Stripe, they can then get started on their Seamlss Smart Link. If you're using tools like Calendly, I know that with Business Edge, we have different appointments that people book in for, and they have to pay on Stripe before they get that meeting. So before they did the trust distributions meeting, when we sent out the trust distribution meeting, it actually said, if you want some advice or help around this, click on this link and we'll phone you back. And when you clicked on a link, it took you to Stripe and you had to pay for that. When someone does structured advice meetings, Calendly pays for that as well through Stripe. So that's how you get paid. We do have some plans on that in the future, but more on that to come. The payment collection, the other process would be just as your admin team. Client sends in a tax return. Before you start processing it, send off an invoice via Zero Blue and get paid. Utilize tools like pinch payments to stick it in there on the invoice to get paid. Hopefully that helps, Angela. But yeah, integrating payments within Seamlss is not really a thing we've got going just yet. Is there any other questions? Did I miss anything, Daniel? Let me also see what we sent before. For the InstaSend, you can see what you sent before, Dante, in the client area. So if you go to the client, you can see in the history of what's been sent. You can also see the documents, I think, Daniel, is that right? So in the history here, you can see what was sent here. I think that's a good request though, Daniel. See if you can add a title or something in here. It is only new, so by all means, send feedback. Thanks, Dante. And then obviously the different things that you've sent also come up here. I'll see if Daniel can have some more updates there as whether we can list what was sent, maybe. I'm not sure. See what's possible with the admin team, but you can definitely track what was sent via InstaSend through the client areas. And obviously this is where you can see all the different things that I've sent over all time. I think I've covered everything off, but I think the main thing that I wanted everyone to understand from this is go back from today and say, what is our process? Where do we start? I talked about processes last week. Where do we start and where do we finish? So if it's a phone call, what's the next step for the admin team? They've booked in the client. Do they send the re-engagement? If it's coming from the website, is it automatically sending the client link, or is the admin team member sending them off a custom re-engagement or onboarding request? So whatever your firm's process is, that's what you need to look at. And that's the idea with Seamlss is we made it so it's fairly customizable. The client's got their own client portal to go back and view their documents and engagement letters and things like that. We've added a bunch of different things, so I'll try and cover it again. We've got the ITR tool, which you can customize and change in the settings. You've got fetch forms, which you can collect the data before the meeting. And you'll obviously be able to use smart links and re-engagement. Hopefully everyone got some value out of today. By all means, put in the chat. Anything? Oh, there was a promo code, Daniel. That's right. Use a promo code, SMLS100. So if you haven't signed up yet, sign up for an annual plan before end of July to get $100 off. That's our special promo for July. So if you're on today's session, use that promo code to get started. How do you get started? I'll just click on the help here and you'll see on our website. It's really, really easy. There is a get started for free button here. If you want a custom onboarding, you can get the VIP onboarding with me. The pricing is $600 a year or $60 a month. Now that's 100 requests a month or 1,200 requests a year. Generally suits most firms. Obviously, if you go over that, we'll give you a little tap on the shoulder and go, hey, you need to go up a plan. If you want help onboarding and building these client links, by all means, do a Seamlss success session with me and we'll get you started there as well. And I'll help build out and get you going and do some training on Seamlss in the session as well. So there is the promo code there for $100 off. Thanks everyone for coming. I'll try not to talk too much. I'll stop the recording. So if anyone wants to talk, by all means, really appreciate it. Hopefully this time, if I stop the recording,